In a quiet little farm, tucked away at the edge of the countryside, lived a pig named Oliver. Now, Oliver wasn't your average pig. While the others loved nothing more than a good roll in the mud, squealing with delight, Oliver was different. He found joy in watching the sun rise from his pen, a gentle, calm soul who always seemed to be waiting for something, though he couldn't quite put a hoof on what it was.
All around him, the farm buzzed with life.
The cows would moo and gossip, the chickens clucked about the latest farm news, and the goats were a boisterous bunch. But Oliver, he was an island in a sea of noise, often spending his days in quiet solitude. He had no one to share his thoughts with, no one to share a meal or a quiet afternoon. Surrounded by so many others, he felt completely invisible. Then, one stormy afternoon, everything changed. The sky split open with a ferocious storm. Thunder rumbled like a giant's footsteps, and the wind rattled the barn doors. The farmer had long since retreated indoors, leaving the animals huddled together against the cold. As Oliver lay nestled in the hay, he heard a sound of faint, desperate whimper cutting through the roar of the storm. Peeking out, he saw it. Huddled near the old fence was a small, shivering dog, muddy, thin, and terrified. Oliver's heart, usually so quiet, swelled with an unfamiliar feeling. He nudged the barn door open with his snout and let out a soft, low grunt, a gentle invitation. The little dog hesitated, his eyes wide with fear, but then slowly, cautiously, he crept inside. He curled up right next to Oliver, still trembling. Without a second thought, Oliver snuggled closer, sharing his warmth. In that small, silent gesture, an unbreakable bond was forged. When the farmer found the little stray the next morning, he couldn't help but smile at the sight. He decided to let him stay, naming him Max. From that day forward, Oliver and Max were inseparable. They became a single unit, a two-part harmony on the farm. When Oliver ate, Max was right there beside him. When Max barked at passing birds, Oliver would oink back in happy agreement. And when Oliver drifted off for a nap, Max would curl up on his belly, a warm, furry pillow. They became the farm's most beloved duo. The chickens would cluck, "Look at those two." And the cows would low with amusement. They'd think they're brothers. And you know what? Oliver and Max didn't care what anyone thought. In their hearts, they were brothers. One bright, sunny morning, an opportunity presented itself. The farmer, in a rush, had forgotten to latch the main gate. Max spotted it first. His tail began to wag furiously, his eyes sparkling with mischief. He barked excitedly at Oliver, then glanced towards the open gateway to freedom. Oliver looked at his best friend, then at the wide-open world beyond the fence. Without another thought, Max bolted, and Oliver, his little hooves pattering on the dirt road, was right behind him. They ran through sun-drenched fields, past dandelions and vibrant wildflowers. It was pure, unfiltered joy. Max chased butterflies with giddy abandon, while Oliver, for the first time, joyfully rolled in a fresh mud puddle, not because he suddenly loved the mud, but because Max was barking with laughter and he wanted to share in that happiness. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, they found a small, tranquil pond surrounded by whispering trees. They drank the cool water, rested their tired bodies, and lay side by side, watching the world settle into twilight. In that moment, Oliver felt a feeling he'd never known before. He felt truly, completely alive. There were no fences, no pens, and most importantly, no loneliness. Just freedom. And his best friend. But as the first stars pricked the deep blue sky, Max let out a soft whimper. He missed the comforting warmth of the barn, the familiar smell of their evening meal, and the sound of the farmer's voice calling their names. Oliver sighed, a puff of warm air in the cool night. He understood. Home wasn't just a place. It was the feeling of being cared for, of belonging. So together, they turned back. They walked through moonlit fields, two friends making their way home. When they finally reached the farm, a warm, flickering light was waiting for them. The farmer stood by the gate, holding a lantern. He wasn't angry, just shook his head and smiled, a look of pure affection on his face. "You too," he said softly. "You really are something else." He opened the barn door. The two friends walked in, tired, muddy, but blissfully happy. From that day on, Oliver and Max shared one pen. Every morning they greeted the sunrise together. Every evening they'd fall asleep side by side, a perfect picture of contentment. Oliver was no longer the lonely pig watching the world from afar. He had found someone who saw him, who understood him without words, who brought his quiet world to vibrant life. And as for Max, he hadn't just found shelter from a storm, he'd found a brother. Because sometimes friendship isn't about being the same. It's about finding that one soul who makes you feel like you truly belong if you have hooves and they have paws. If this story made you smile, tap that like button and drop A in the comments for our favorite duo, Oliver and Max. And don't forget to subscribe for more animal diaries, stories that warm your heart every single week. Thanks for watching.